Okay, so we're now going to start actually making the individual parts for our desk light. And you can see here I've created a folder on my desktop called Desk Light. And that's where I'm going to be saving my work to. It's always good before you start a project to create a folder that you can save each part to. So I'm going to open up my SolidWorks. I'm going to go to a new part. So you can either go to the new symbol here, or you can go to File and then New. And we want to select a part. Now you might be prompted with what type of units you want to use. mmgs, millimeters, grams and second, is our standard unit, and ISO or ASI, it doesn't matter which. And we're into our new part. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up one of the technical drawings on the screen so you can see it, and you should have a copy of these as you're working, and this is what we're going to work through. So I'll move these around as I'm doing them, but I'll keep it up in the top right hand corner of the screen just so it's, you know, out of the way. So I'm going to create my front part first. So we can look at the measurements and we can see that we're 150 across and at 65 high. So we can start by, when we first start, we've got nothing on the screen. We're going to use a plane to draw from first, just so we've got a point of reference, and then we'll draw from the rest of the sketch after that. So if I click on the plane, the standard practice for this is you click on the normal 2 symbol here. So the fourth one along is the arrow pointing away from it, the perpendicular symbol. Click on that and I'll face that plane. And this works for any surface. I can then click or right click and I'm going to press sketch. That means sketch on this plane. So I'm now sketching on that plane. We can't see it, that doesn't matter. It's effectively the piece of paper we're going to draw on. Just imagine it's an invisible piece of paper. So I'm going to take my rectangle tool and I'm just going to draw a rectangle. I'm now going to smart dimension it to give myself that 150 across and that 65 high. So I'll take my smart dimension tool and I'll start with my cross measurement, click on there, and I've clicked on the line, and then I'm going to move away from the line a little bit, it doesn't matter where, and click again and it lets me choose my dimension. So I want this to be 150, so I just type 150. You haven't got to worry about putting units in if you've already put it preset to millimeters, grams and seconds. And there we go. And if you want to check you've got the right units of measurement, go down to the bottom right hand corner here and you'll see mmgs. If you see ISO then, or IPS, sorry, then you want to change it to mmgs. So I'm going to change it to IPS now, and then I'm going to change it back. The reason I've done that is because some of you might need to change this and you'll encounter this issue. Your drawing will go grey. What you've actually done is you've exited your sketch. And you can't edit it until you go back into it. And to go back into it is really easy. Right click on the sketch and you can press edit sketch there. And now I'm back in it. So I've got my 150mm across. Let's do another smart dimension to get my 65mm high. So I'm going to hover over the line. The line goes orange to indicate that that's what I'm selecting. I left click once, I move away a little bit, and I left click again. And this becomes 65, and there we go. So I've got my actual outline, but now I need to put all that detail in there, and it looks like a lot, but it's not too much. So I'm going to draw a line here, and once you've drawn a line, if you end up with this here, which is the line's trying to draw another line from it, it's assuming you want to keep drawing lines. You can either left click on the line tool itself and it will disappear, or you press enter twice and it disappears for you there. So whichever works easiest for you. But I do need to draw another set of lines, but these I'm going to do a few of, but I'm only going to draw one line, and we're going to use some fancy tools to make things work for us. So I click there, I've started on the line. If I start that again just so you can see, I've got my line tool and I'll zoom in. To zoom in, you just scroll backwards on the scroll wheel on your mouse, the middle mouse button. Scroll backwards on that and you zoom in. It's a little bit counterintuitive, you think scroll forward and you zoom in. It varies from CAD software to CAD software, but a lot of them have this in common. You get used to it after a while. So I'm hovering over that line and I left click. And I'll hover over the next line and I left click. And what that's done is it has anchored the line I've drawn to those points there. This allows me to smart dimension that line, and I'm going to move it over here just out of the way, and when I adjust this, the top line can't move because that's already anchored as part of that rectangle. The bottom line hasn't actually got an anchor other than this line here, which means if I adjust the measurement, that line will move. And I want to make this 3mm, as we can see in our diagram. There we go. That's still 65mm high, and that's now 3. So I'm now going to do this first measurement here, the 30mm, and I'll smart dimension from the line. I'll click on that, and now I'm going to click on this line. And that means that it's from one line to another line. And that's how I do my horizontal. I'm going to put it up here so it's out of the way. And this needs to be 30mm. And there we go. That's moved, but nothing else has. What we're going to do is we are going to exit out of our smart dimension. We are going to click on this line here. And we're going to go to offset entities. And offset entities just means repeat the measurement, repeat that entity or that line or whatever it is you've selected at a certain distance. We're going to change our distance to 30, and you can see a little arrow here telling us which direction it's going. We can press reverse and it goes the other way, and just press the green tick. Now if I zoom in a little bit, I can take this measurement and move it up here out of the way, and I can click on the next line, offset entities, reverse, okay, move my measurement out of the way, click on my line, offset entities, reverse, okay, and that has given us all those lines. So now I want to repeat this line and those 4 lines down here. Because of the difference in measurement here, we'll redraw them, but we need them at a different height. So it makes it a little bit more complicated, but it's not the end of the world. So what I'll show you here is a little trick you can do. If you take this point here, go from the end node, end of the line, and go straight down. And you do this for all of the lines. We use a different tool instead. One of the advantages of this sort of CAD software is there are lots of different tools you can use. The downside is trying to pick which tool is best at the right time. If you end up using the wrong tool, it can make your life a little bit more complicated. Sometimes using the simplest tools is the easiest way to do it. Okay, so I'm going to draw this line across here now. But we need this gap to be higher. So let's have a look at what this gap needs to be. Well, if we look at our drawing, we've got it at 5mm here, and we've got 3mm here. So we need this at 8mm total. Alright, so there's a lot more we need to do here. So let's have a go at this then. We will smart dimension from the bottom to that line there. Let's make that 8mm. There we go. And now we can use the trim entities tool. Now trim entities just cuts away part of it. You've got 5 different options here. You want the bottom one, trim to closest. And this just trims the line to the closest intersection. So this is our closest intersection here and here. So we click on this line and it'll go. And we're left with this here. Now if we look at the design we've got, at the bottom we need 3 feet, 1 in the middle and the 2 on the outside. So I'm going to use the same tool, trim entities, to remove that part there and that part there. And then we want to make this solid here, so I'm going to remove the alternate parts of this line up here. Now you see this black line here, that's a measurement line, so not part of your drawing, that's just giving you reference to your measurements, so don't get confused by that bit. And we need to do the complete opposite up the top. So at the top we need 3 low parts and 2 high parts, and these are going to form our finger joints. So I'll make this one here. It's easy to not see that because you've still got the black line. You're looking for these circles on the nodes here. The circles on the nodes identify endpoints. And I can alternate this one here, that one there. If you want to move across the screen without zooming in and out, hold Control, then hold middle mouse button, and you can just move the screen across. And if you press F, it zooms to fit the screen. I need to get rid of these little bits here, because if I don't get rid of them, it will cause problems with my design. Because the next bit, and it says here this has an associated dimension. What this is saying is you've set the height of this line. If you delete it, it's going to get rid of that height. That's okay, we can always repeat that height just to keep it there. I'm going to leave this one here to show you the problems it can cause. So I'm now done with this, apart from these side bits here. So the side bits here, the same principle, but they're 20mm from what would have been 3mm back bottom pivot here. So it's 20mm from the top and 20mm across. So the simplest way to do this is the rectangular tool, and I'll just click and draw a rectangle, and we will mirror this one because this is identical. And what we'll do is we'll smart dimension this, so this bit here has got to be 3mm wide, and the top of that to the top of this bit here should be 20mm. Now see there's a problem there. That's adjusted that height there. So what we do before that, we'll smart dimension the height of that at 65, and we'll delete that one. And now we can adjust that. There we go. And now we can do the smart dimension for that one at 20 as well. And it all works out. The reason for all these slightly different dimensions from top and bottom is because these parts here are going to form the feet, and the feet are going to be essential to give clearance to the head of the nut for the captive screw. Also add a nice little bit of aesthetics to it. So I've got that bit there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select that line. In fact, I won't select anything. I'm going to draw a centre line first. When I go to my line tool, on the little arrow here, I can press centre line. And then on the middle part, if I hover over the middle of it, a little red box with two diagonal lines comes up. That indicates that that's the centre of the line. So I can click on that and it snaps to the centre line node. I can do the same thing here, and even if I hadn't, you can see the yellow lines coming off. These indicate the common direction, so these are perfectly perpendicular. If I hover at this angle around here, it sometimes will give me a diagonal line at 45 degrees, but for now I'm happy for it to just do this. So I've got my centre line. I'm now going to go to the mirror entities tool up here, and it asks me on the left, what entities do I want to mirror? Well, I want to mirror that, and it appears there, line 21, that, line 24, and that, line 23. And then mirror about. So where's my line of symmetry? That's what it wants to know. Well, here is my line of symmetry. So I click on that and it previews it over here. I can press the green tick tool and it appears there. And that's just saved me the hassle of trying to draw it. And now I'm going to use my trim entities tool again. And on the right side, it's quite quick. I remove this one little line, done. On the left side, we drew a rectangle, and rectangles have four sides. So if I press this, it's either going to delete part of this initial line or part of the rectangle, but not both. And you can see it's done that because this line's gone very thin, but this has stayed thick, showing me that there's a mismatch between the number of lines in that area. I can click it again, and now those lines have gone back to thick, and that line is gone. That's all done. Now we're going to finish this and attempt to do the next section, but I'm going to leave this line here deliberately to see what problems that can cause. And I'll show you how you can solve it. the best practice is to get rid of this. So if you're aware of it, get rid of those little lines, they can cause problems. If I exit my sketch, and I'm going to select my sketch in my parts tree on the left, I'm going to go to extrude boss and base, and what this is going to do is going to take the shape I've drawn and it's going to pull it out into a 3D shape. So I press extrude boss and base and it moves it around for me, and instantly nothing's happening. I can press this selected contours tool and choose that, and then I get these to appear, but it's because of that line there it's caused the problems. The center line won't be helping, but that's caused more problems. So because we should be doing this the right way around, I'm going to right click, edit sketch, trim entities, and I'm going to get rid of that little line. I can exit my sketch again now, select my sketch, you see it highlight blue and then everything will appear, extrude boss or base, and instantly it selected that entity. It selected the contour to extrude. So you know it's right if it selects it automatically, often. And now what it wants us to do is select the depth. So the depth of this is going to be 3 millimeters. And instantly adjust itself, and if it's yellow it's a preview. So this is what it's going to look like. If you need to, you can look around it. To do that, click on anywhere on the screen with the middle mouse button. So push down on the middle mouse button till you hear a click, and a little rotation symbol will appear, and you can move things around so you can see them from different angles, so you can have a little better look at them. It's a really handy tool, real big advantage to CAD software. I'm happy with that. I'm going to press the green tick, and now, very importantly, I'm going to save this. So File, Save As. I'm going to go to my desktop, Desk Light, and this is going to be front. Make sure you give things appropriate names so they're easy for you to find when you need to. Right, that's the first part done. Good luck.